Yo, yo, yo. What is good, everybody? It is your boy Lincoln Clay coming back at you. And in keeping with this anniversary theme week, let's all be one cohesive unit and hit the like button to help spread the content to a wider audience. I would appreciate it. And make sure you hit the bell icon so you can stay notified whenever I put out new content. I would appreciate that as well. And if you are a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. I hope you are enjoying the content. Welcome aboard. So, the last couple of days, YouTube and Twitter has been dominated by headlines and talks of rumors and speculation that Microsoft is coming out with 4 consoles for the next generation. 4! And I guess they're supposed to be coming out with a diskless Xbox, a Scarlett streaming box, a revised Xbox One S or tweaked Xbox One S, and the big one, you know, the powerful one, the Anaconda, as the code name goes. That's supposed to be the most powerful console out of these 4 consoles that Microsoft is coming out with. And I want to touch on each one of these consoles individually, give my thoughts on each one individually, and then after that, assess the whole thing in one big picture. So, with that being said, let's get right into it.
Maybe you can find this fuck.
So, let's start with this diskless Xbox. This one's a head scratcher to me because from what the rumors have been, you know, what people have been talking about, I'm under the impression that this console is the Xbox One S without a disk drive. So, from a consumer standpoint, I don't know how much sense that makes to me, because you're not actually gaining anything. You're actually losing something. You're giving up the disk drive, and you're giving up a 4K player. So, you're not getting anything back. You're actually giving up something. And in my opinion, the price better reflect that, because these days I think we're starting to see the Xbox One S go on sale so much that I think it's not going to be very long before the permanent price of the Xbox One S might eventually make its way down to $200. With that being said, this diskless Xbox, to me, in my opinion, it shouldn't cost any more than $200. I think $150 is probably what I'd be willing to pay for a diskless Xbox, because again, I'm giving up the 4K player, and I'm giving up the ability to have physical disc as an option. So with that being said, the price better reflect it. I think that this diskless console better be at least $50 cheaper than the Xbox One S. And so let's move on next to the Scarlett Stream Box. Again, this is another console that I would not buy it, because I think that's because you would be, you know, from an internet standpoint, from a data cap standpoint, you would be using up more of your allotted broadband, you know, because most people have a data cap with their internet. And like in my case, I get 1 terabyte a month. So for me, the streaming box makes no sense, because number one, you know, that would bring me that much closer to reaching my data cap, which once you go over, you have to pay more money to get more gigabytes, you know, until the next month when you get your allotted 1 terabyte per month. Not only that, I do not care what Microsoft says. They seem to think that they have cracked the Da Vinci Code in terms of latency and performance. They're beating their chest about being able to provide a console-like experience through streaming. The current consoles right now, you experience input lag. So I don't understand how they think that they can solve that riddle when you're doing 100% streaming. Everything goes through the stream. Data is going to be going back and forth, and I just don't see how they think they're going to solve that riddle. And not only that, my guess is that you would probably need a pretty high, internet speed in order for this thing to perform, correctly. And right now, I currently get 25 gigs per month, and that works for me just fine. I'm not gonna jump up to 75 gigs. I mean, not gigs, but 75 megs, 100 megs, and have my internet shoot up to $150 a month just so I can make this stream box do what a traditional console can do. That makes no sense to me. So the stream box is out of the question for me. That's another one that I just cannot see the benefits of it. I just don't see the benefits of a stream box. Now, next up is this revised Xbox One S, or this tweaked Xbox. Out of the 4 Xboxes that they are rumored to be coming out with, this is the only one that might make sense, because I'm under the impression that this tweaked or revised Xbox One S could possibly take the place of the current Xbox One S. But I would be curious to see what they would price this console at. I would also be curious if this console would perform better than the Xbox One S, because we do know that frame rate and screen tearing, especially with the Xbox One X, is a problem. So I would be curious, this revised Xbox One S, I would be curious to see what the price point would be, and I would be curious to see if they're going to put a better processor in it, or however they plan to address performance issues. So I mean, I'm still curious about that, but I think out of the 4 consoles that I've mentioned, that one seems to make the most sense. And then finally, you have Anaconda, and this is supposed to be the most powerful out of the 4 consoles. And this console makes the least amount of sense to me. First of all, rumors going around is that this console is supposed to be more powerful than the PS5. So that leads a couple of questions as to, how, in order for this console to be more powerful than the PS5, you have to know the specs of the PS5 in order to make something more powerful than the PS5. So that brings me to the question, how do you know what the specs of the PS5 is? How does Microsoft know that? And so I think that leads me to believe that, if they are determined to make this console more powerful than the PS5, then they are going about it one of 2 ways. One is they already know what the specs are of the PS5, and they're, working on their countermeasures to try to make this console more powerful than the PS5. Or the other one is that they are going to wait until the official specs of the PS5 are revealed, and then go from there to make Anaconda more powerful than the PS5. And another reason why this console does not make sense to me is because it's a safe bet that with the PS5, it's probably costing Sony hundreds of millions of dollars to develop this console, because they're, excuse me, they're building this console from the ground up. At least that is my belief. I don't think they're taking anything from the PS4 or the PS4 Pro and trying to build on those. I'm led to believe that this console was being built from the ground up, especially when you factor in the rumors of the VR technology baked into this console. So I would be led to believe that this console is going to cost hundreds of millions, if not billions, to develop this console. And if Microsoft is taking the same approach with Anaconda, and this console is being developed from the ground up, then same thing with them. That is probably costing them hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. And that's the reason why this does not make sense to me, because until they start getting compelling content, which I believe in terms of AAA content isn't going to be ready, in my opinion, until 2022 at the earliest, I don't expect this console to sell. So that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars for a console that probably isn't going to sell very well, because the only people that are going to buy it are the hardcore dedicated Xbox people. And I just don't know how much compelling content that they're going to have for this console, being that they've been going out of their way to bring in these AA developers that have an asterisk attached to them. With some of these studios being in financial trouble, some of these studios haven't put out a hit in God knows how long. So I've already been down that road before, talking about how I believe that the majority of Microsoft's games moving into the next generation are going to be AA, low budget games that's going to, basically fill up Game Pass. And I don't understand why somebody would buy a console more powerful than the PS5 to play those kind of games. It doesn't make sense to me. And then where does that leave the Xbox One X? So that's my thought on all four consoles. Coming up now, I'll give my final thought on all of it.
I see him! Got him now!
So 4 consoles is a lot of consoles. And currently you still have the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X. Now, I do think that by the time all 4 of these consoles are in full-blown production, I think that the current Xbox One S will have been discontinued by then. But what about the Xbox One X? Will that still be around? I mean, if you discontinue the Xbox One X, then the console, for the most part, has only been out 2 years before you're replacing it with another console. But if they are still manufacturing the Xbox One X by the time Anaconda comes out, what is the Xbox One X going to cost by then? And what is Anaconda going to cost? There are some people that are speculating that they think that Anaconda is going to be more expensive than the PS5. And the general belief is that the PS5 is going to cost $500. So that's got some people speculating that Anaconda could cost $600. And again, if the Xbox One X is still being manufactured by then, how much is that going to cost? Because if the Xbox One X is still being manufactured by the time Anaconda comes out, that's going to put it right in between this revised Xbox One S and Anaconda. It's going to put it right in between those. So what are you going to charge for it? I mean, are you going to charge $300 for this revived Xbox One S, $400 for the Xbox One X, and $500 or $600 for Anaconda? So, I mean, that is a lot of consoles. And also, I believe that these consoles are going to be spread out over a couple of years, because there's just no way you can release all these consoles in 1 year. I mean, I think you would confuse the shit out of your user base. You would piss a lot of them off. And So with that being said, I think these consoles are going to be spread out over the next couple of years. And excuse me, if it's true that they are coming out with 4 consoles, this further solidifies my belief that the race for 2019 is on, which I have been talking about for months and months and months. That I believe that the race for 2019 is on. I've already came out with the belief that the PS5 is going to release in November of 2019. I believe that Microsoft is thinking, or at least this is my belief, if this diskless Xbox One S, well, it's rumored that's supposed to come out in early 2019. So I don't think, whatever's going to happen with that one, it's going to happen. They won't have the PS5 breathing down their neck. But the streaming console, I think that is the console that's going to be critical that they get that console out in front of the PS5, because this is the console to me that makes no sense. This is the console to me that financially it would create a bigger monthly bill, because I would have to upgrade my internet high enough for this thing to perform correctly. And currently I'm paying $25 a month for 25 megs, even though it's a promo. But if I go off and buy this streaming console, in order for it to perform correctly, I'm under the impression that I might have to go up to 75, even 100 megs, which would drive my internet bill up to $150 to $200 a month. And that makes absolutely no sense. And I don't get who thinks that getting the streaming box would make sense. With that being said, I think for Microsoft to have even a sliver of a chance to sell this console, they have to get it out before the PS5. And if I stick with me sticking to my beliefs that the PS5 is going to come out in November of 2019, I'm saying it right now. Do not be surprised if the streaming console comes out in late October 2019, or at the beginning of November of 2019, because I think that Sony is going to release the PS5 in the middle of 2019, because that'll give people like me are going to buy it first, and then that'll give people a chance to see the console right before Black Friday. I think that if Microsoft waits until after the PS5 is released to introduce the streaming console to the world, I think is going to struggle, because I think there's going to be a lot of people out there who's going to buy a PS5 and that's going to be it. They're going to be fine with just that and won't see the need to have a second console. But I think if you throw a console in front of the PS5 that could cost $150 for this streaming console, then I think you got a chance of a lot of people. You got a chance of a lot of casuals purchasing this console, and I think you also have a chance of people buying this console and probably seeing this as their secondary console. But once the PS5 is out, I just don't see how this streaming console is going to be able to go up against the PS5, in my opinion, because you also have Microsoft releasing 4 different consoles that's like doing like 4 different things, which is a cash grab to me. And currently with the PS5, not the PS5, but currently with the PS4, you have a traditional console with streaming capabilities. With the Nintendo Switch, you have a console hybrid, whatever you want to call it, that also has streaming capabilities. The current Xbox consoles right now do not stream, and I don't know if it's a case of them not being able to do it, or Microsoft trying to spread this thing thin and make people buy 13 different consoles to do the same thing that the PS4 does. So with that being said, why would I buy a streaming console when the PS5, if it has a disc drive, is still going to be a traditional console? I can choose to download my games digitally, or I can choose to stream it. That's 3 different options for me, whereas Microsoft is breaking down these 4 consoles to have one specific duty. And so with that being said, the streaming console just makes no sense to me. It doesn't. Therefore, like I said, I just don't have an interest in it, and for me, that it would be creating an unnecessary internet bill too. So I'll definitely be passing on that. I mean, they couldn't even if they were to give this thing, they would give it away to me. I would turn around and give it to somebody else. But so no streaming console for me. And then back to the Anaconda thing. I'm really curious. Would they build a console that could possibly cost $600, and what you have to show for it is a bunch of AA games, a bunch of State of Decay, Sea of Thieves type games? I mean, that would make no sense to me either. And I think that with this so-called quadruple A studio that they have, the Initiative, I think it could be 3, 4, 5 years before we see something from them. So I think because of that, I don't think we would see Anaconda until 2021, maybe even 2022. But I definitely believe that the diskless Xbox One S, that's supposedly coming out in the early 2019. And I do believe that the streaming console Scarlet, I believe that that's going to release in the fall of 2019, because 6 months later, 6, 7 months later, you spread those two consoles out far enough that you know they may not catch so much heat for introducing consoles too close to each other. But I think that's what's going to happen with that. The diskless Xbox at the beginning of 2019, and I think the Scarlet Xbox could be coming in the fall, October, early November of 2019. Because I think that's something that I think that's going to be a move that Microsoft is going to have to do if they want to get this thing out in front of the PS5. Because once the PS5 comes out, I think they're going to have a hard time pitching this streaming console to hardcore gamers. So those are my thoughts. Feel free to leave a comment. In the comment section. Thanks for watching the video. This is your boy Lincoln Clay. Keep your eyes peeled over the next year or so. We'll see how this thing plays out with Microsoft trying to come out with 13 consoles. And again, thanks for watching. And I will holler at y'all later. This is your boy Lincoln Clay, and I'm out.